Hi everybody, how you doing today? Welcome to the Rainbow Tool Show, episode 6, with our special guest tonight, Madonna, Doucette. We're going to have some discussion on LGBTQ+, and some of the issues, and just a general discussion around this stuff. So yeah, let's bring it on.
Hello.
There she is. Hi, there we go. This stuff's pretty cool, eh? It's so simple.
This is very cool. I'm more than slightly impressed.
Yeah, for sure. So, how long have you been involved with it? You're an educator now, is that correct? With the project?
Yeah. This is going on to my 8th or 9th year doing LGBT education in Cape Breton. So I'm kind of very lucky to have such passion for a job that I have.
Oh yeah, for sure. So 8 years doing it. So what did you do before the youth project?
So before the youth project, I was 5 years with the Ally Center, which was formerly known as the AIDS Coalition.
That's why I looked it up and I was like, wait a minute, it's used to be with the Ally Center. So I was wondering.
Okay. I still have strong ties to the Ally Center and the work that they do and the staff that they have there. And people mistake my place of employment for the Ally Center all the time, and I'm okay with that. That's a great place for people I'm honored for people to affiliate me with them.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, well, yeah, because I used to hear so you ran for the NDP twice, too. Twice?
Yes, I ran for the NDP twice, and I think I'm being acclaimed as the candidate for the NDP for the next election here as well.
Are you? Oh, exciting. You did well the last two times, if I remember correct. Yeah, you weren't the spread wasn't that big.
So the first time I ran, it was the by-election after Gordy Goss retired. Right, I came a distant second to Derek Mumberket in the first by-election.
But not last time.
But the provincial election, I lost by less than like 100 votes or something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. There were a lot of close ones here. Yeah, interesting.
Now, the jurisdiction, the ridings have changed, so I won't be campaigning in the exact same neighborhoods as I have been the last two elections. This time, in the next provincial election, the peer will actually belong to Cape Breton Centre, the New Waterford riding. And I'm losing, Sydney is losing the peer as part of its riding, and I'll be gaining Sydney River. So it'll be Sydney River, Sydney member 2, next provincial election that my riding will be.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I wonder why they. It doesn't really matter. They just changed it for whatever reason they changed it. I don't know, but yeah.
They changed it actually because they had to recreate some ridings that had been eliminated in the Acadian areas. So when they eliminated the riding that had like more definitive Acadian representation, they eliminated representation of the Acadians in the provincial government. So they're just trying to move the ridings around to create some space so that there will be some Acadian voices in the legislature.
Gotcha. Okay then. So, the LGBTQ+, is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, plus kind of covers your backside. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know.
When I do
terminology gets a little bit difficult, right? When you're not in that community all the time, you know what I mean? It's like terminology can get a little difficult.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember.
So I like the word queer because it's like a nice basket that we all fit into. Okay. But when I do my presentations, I actually teach LGBTQQ, I, AAA, P, NB2S. That's the acronym that I teach. Yeah. And believe it or not, they're not even all the identities of the people that I meet. There's people with even more niche identities than that, but those are the main ones that I try to cover in my presentations.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of the common issues with them? I know each of the groups they're probably not all the same across the board, right? Because they're different, from LGBTQ+, there's going to be some different issues with it. But what about the whole, in the whole circle? What are your big issues? If you could say, if I could pick 4 things in our local community, especially.
Well, I do think that people are afraid of things that they don't understand. So that phobia, that fear is is real. I would also say that our community is hypersexualized, so that, you know, instead of just thinking of it as two men in a relationship, people might think about the sex that they're having, or two women in a relationship, and like people think about the sex that they're having instead of the fact that it's just the fully rounded relationship that any relationship has. You know, I always tell kids when I'm talking to them that my quote unquote gay relationship is more based on me remembering to take the garbage out every Wednesday night and working together in the kitchen, like make a good meal and clean up afterwards. Like it's the foundation of our relationship is the respect and laughter we share. But I think the hyper focus on the sexual aspects makes it seem a little bit more taboo. We still have religion causing, I would say, as our number three really thing would be religion. Oh my God, yes, actually.
Really? Well, I shouldn't know that, I guess. I should know that because some are stricter. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, but actually, there's a little pocket in Cape Breton of really active Baptists. I'm not sure what branch of Baptist church there is, because I know that there are some Baptist churches that are extremely welcoming. But in the Inverness, Marguerite Shetty Camp area, there's some Baptist church people up there that actually have worked against me when I visited the schools, and they're very open in their campaign against the gay community. Yeah, so I always think of that as being such a double whammy for rural queer kids, that not only do they have like the rurality, is that a word? I'm making it up now, of their community where, you know, yeah, if you say it with confidence, it sounds real. And then to have, I actually had a woman tell me that her daughter got chastised for being friends with a bisexual girl in high school because it was going to, I mean, I can't actually answer the because part, but yeah, so religion definitely is still a major player. And really, like, we're such a big Catholic community in Cape Breton that even those that are sort of removed from the church still has a lot of the shame and stigma brewed right into our DNA. So of being ex-Catholic. So, and then I would say that the fourth, if I were to pick four top things, I would say that people not wanting to learn, you know, ignorance, separate from fear, but ignorance, people are resentful to learn new titles, labels for people. Like they feel like, why can't you just be quote unquote normal like the rest of us? Why do you have to be so different? And it's not like we're trying. We're just blessed and born this way.
Who you are. You are who you are. Yeah. You're like, I don't know, like, because my sister, you know, I shouldn't be throwing my sister, I don't know. My sister and her wife have 4 beautiful kids. Their family, their kids are astounding. They're astounding, like, because they take such good care of them. I don't know if that's a particular thing. I don't think they're overcompensating. I think they're just good parents. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like a natural. I think it's maternal, right?
I do.
I might be wrong there, but I think it's maternal. Like, you have 2 maternal people. Like, I don't know. I think it's. But anyway, they're probably telling that for the online. But anyway, but yeah, it's a really, if you see.
I mean,
I don't. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, even that stereotype is, I mean, I'm sure your sister and her partner are fantastic parents, but we're just like everybody else. Like, there's bad parents in the gay community too.
Yeah, true enough, right? Yeah, you're right. That's true enough. It does, like, you're just like
I remember being in an elementary school, and after I always reveal myself, I always come out as gay to the classes. And this little girl raised her hand and she said, "My uncle's gay. Gay people are so nice." And I'm like, "No, sweetheart, we're all different." Like, it's so funny because that stereotype can carry in the other direction, where we're all like these jovial, you know, happy, unburdened people. As you know, that would be lovely if it was true, but we're just as complicated as everybody else out there. I've lost you. Can't hear. No sound. Can't hear a thing. Hmm. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Am I by myself right now? Everyone can see and hear you, as the sign says. Hello, world. We're having technical difficulties. Wayne will be back. Hopefully. I'm not fit to host this show. Although that would be fun. How's everyone doing on this hot, sweaty night? Think I'm going to go swimming after this is done just because it's so hot? If you leave me alone, I'll just keep talking to myself and I'll say all sorts of crazy things. So you better get back, Wayne, before I slip up. Now I'm falling apart too. It's very weird to try to fix your hair in a camera because you're so backwards. Wayne, come back to me. It's very hard for me not to fill this space. Should be lockout. This is actually the most I've looked in a mirror or in a camera in months. It's weird just looking at myself now that Wayne's gone. Hurry up, Wayne. You're freaking me out. I don't know what to do. I'm getting directions from Wayne right now. So I'm sure we've got our best people on this. He's back in a sec. So I'm broadcasting. Don't come in because into the picture, but I am broadcasting.
Wait.
But no, we started. Wayne lost his sound and then he disappeared. So now we're waiting for him to come back. But we're in the show and everyone can see and hear me apparently still all this time. I haven't spent this much time with my face in front of me in a long time. It's kind of weird. It's also a dirty spot on the... Anyway.
This is live.
Yeah, this is live.
I was wondering why I got so quiet.
I know, because it's not usually quiet for me. I'm inches away from breaking out into song, and we don't want that to happen. So Wayne, you bearded beauty, come back to me. Maybe that's why this pose became so popular. It blocks the double chin. Look at that. I look so skinny. See? Don't leave me in front of the window or the mirror. Oh, it's so muggy. I could swim through the air. It's so sticky here. You're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you.
Stop that.
Hmm? Don't do what? I can't help it. It's what my face looks like.
I can't help it. It's my face. It comes up.
Oh no, I know that everyone can see me.
No, but when you say it's coming up, what you said.
Oh, my words are coming up as words.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good for the hearing impaired.
Why don't you just educate people?
Because I expected him to be back by now. All right, so we'll fill the airtime. LGBTQIAA P2SNB. That's lesbian gay.
Oh, I'm back.
Wait.
Holy cow. I don't know what happened.
Didn't know what to do.
I went into the internet and the internet swallowed me and I got lost and I don't know what happened. But now I'm back. So I'm on the other side though this time, which is pretty cool. We just switched over.
We have flip sides. Now I feel like I'm the host. I need to ask you questions.
There you go, right? Like, how techie am I? Or not very techie at all. Oh, sorry about that. All right, so you were just gonna.
I was having a time.
Yeah, I saw. I could see and hear, and I could see me in the corner.
Oh dear, sorry about that.
That's okay. It's all right. Was that your son? Who was in the background?
No, my partner was ducking in and out from the background.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She's ducking in. Yeah, she can come in if she likes. Oh, there's ripple effects. There we go.
No, she absolutely would not like to, actually. But thank you for the invite.
All right.
No, this is not her shtick. This is definitely my thing, not hers.
Is that right? Yeah, you did good. You did well there, considering it went dead on you. When you go dead airspace is hard. I had that my first day, and I was like, "Oh no, it's dead airspace. I have no guest, right?" It's hard because you're kind of. I was going to sing. I said I was going to sing.
I was going to just slide right into a presentation there.
There you go. So, you can just do a presentation, right? Yeah. For sure. Okay, now that we're back. Okay, so that's 4 of the issues you would fix. What are some of the issues? Religion is one of the, you say, is about a third. You figure, roughly. You just ballparking. Just ballparking is like religion would be like one of the third issues that you mentioned before.
Yeah, I would say so, and not just the Christian-based religions that I mentioned. I also deal with kids from like Muslim backgrounds and
oh yeah, for sure.
Anyway, it's so that's a challenge. That whole patriarchy that's steeped into religion isn't very open to the queer community. That's for sure. Yeah, right. But anyway, the thing that is different though is that kids have the world online to find community in, and that is it's an extraordinary solution for a lot of these kids. But it also gives a more dramatic juxtaposition between their online world and the respect and understanding that they find there, and then when they close their laptops and they walk into their kitchen. It can be a dramatically different world. So that's hard, but definitely the internet has saved a lot of lives as far as LGBTQ2S kids finding community and finding connection so that they don't feel like they're because nothing is more isolating than feeling like you're the only one going through something. So.
Okay, gotcha.
Internet has saved a lot of lives.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a big part of everything. It's like, I'm disabled, but this gives me the opportunity to have people on the show. I mean, that's great. You know what I mean? We don't get the opportunity not as much anymore, to be able to have sort of it's almost like a call-in, but a little prepared. You know what I mean? We get our guests beforehand. But so, yeah, like we can talk about anything that involves LGBT. What did you say? S2? 2S? I'm trying.
2S is important.
2S, okay.
Okay, there's a question here. That's neat. Oh. If elected, what will you do to address equalization? Okay. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead. That's a good, sure, it's a political question, but why not? It'll impact LGBTQ plus 2 plus S. Plus S. I'm going to get this.
2S.
2S.
Two-spirit is 2S, just so you know.
Okay.
Two-spirit, yes.
Gotcha. I'm going to learn.
Well, just as far as that one question that came up, our party leader, Gary Burrell, has the most generous plan on the board right now for any of the parties offering help under equalization. But you know what? I this is a funny thing for me to say, but I'll do the best that I can for equalization. But I don't like to pretend that just when you're elected MLA, you have the authority to fix everything. You're still a cog in a larger machine. Mm-hmm. But at least the NDP party recognizes that there's something afoot, and not just necessarily in Cape Breton, but also in communities like Yarmouth. So right now, Gary Burrell has a plan. I believe it's
50 million.
You know what? I was going to say $50 million a year, but my brain feels so hot and steamy right now that I'm not sure if that's the right number.
From what I remember, it was 50 million for so many years and then you look at it, right?
I think it was 3 years, and while they also look at the situation. Right. The most important thing that I can say is that I wouldn't be a quiet representative in the legislature. Mm-hmm. I am so I identify so strongly and so proudly with this island that the privilege of representing us as a community in the in Province House would, you know, that would be everything, because I would fight for us genuinely. I'm not a person who, I don't want to say that follows directions well, because I definitely do. In some ways, I'm a very strong rule follower, but I'm also I'm a strong protester. I'm not afraid to say the unpopular thing, and I also have this really great ability of working with almost anybody. You know, we don't have to agree across the table to still find some common ground that we can work together on. So
Yeah, for sure.
I would just do the job that being an MLA is, and represent us and fight for the causes that we need fighting for.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. We need that. And I know the NDP, I don't know provincially, I haven't get into provincially too much, but I know Jagmeet has a decent green plan. Decent. I'd like it to be a little stronger personally, but he does. He has his stance he took calling out the racism in the House and taking the hit for it. I think that was fantastic. I mean, somebody had to do it, right?
Well, and in fact, yeah, Gary has discussed on a number of occasions also the environmental racism that we see in some of the poorer Black communities and Indigenous communities as well. You know, having dumps in their backyard and stuff like that. That is,
I saw
racial
something.
inequality times. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw. Where was that? Shelburne. Shelburne has
I think so.
Black community that is, I think, close to, like, it's a dump, but it's got some toxins in it too, and their water supply was affected. I remember because that young actress from Dartmouth. Oh, I'm so bad.
Oh, she was in Juneau.
Yeah, right. She offered to give them $1 million, the town $1 million to do it, to fix the wells and stuff for them to get fix the water system, and they refused because they said there was no racial, environmental, but there was, right? She did a whole movie on that one. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. People don't think about that stuff.
Anyway, I mean,
go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh, go ahead. No, please. I wasn't going to say anything important.
People don't realize that systemic racism is within so many factors of life that people are so used to it that I think they forget about it, or just don't know it even exists. Like nobody would think that our government would put a Black community in a toxic waste dump for land, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, but they do.
And just to clarify, white people wouldn't think that.
Exactly.
People of color know that.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
for sure.
So. Yeah. Anyway, I feel like we're all over the place. It feels like a real conversation at the kitchen table.
Usually that's what it is, though, right? Usually that's what it is. I like the political side of things. I do like the NDP's platform. I think it'd make a great representative. We have Kendra now. I hope we can keep Kendra. Kendra's another good one. Do you know who's running?
I think we will be able to keep Kendra.
I think so, too. And there, Margie McNeil's here. She's here every week. Hi, Margie. And you know who's running for Northside? Or do we have a candidate yet? Oh, somebody said. So I heard somebody say.
I heard a couple of different names in the wind, but I haven't heard anything official. John Morgan, of course, is the big get for the Glace Bay area.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. I think he's going to win that one. People love John Morgan. John Morgan's a good guy. We saw equalization. That's the man for equalization right there. He knows the issue. If he goes talk to Gary, he can have a good, solid discussion, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
I got a little starstruck when I found out that he was going to be a candidate because, he was the mayor for so long in Sydney, and I had such respect for him. And then at least eight, I believe, maybe even longer. Yeah. And I just enjoyed watching his determination in fighting for equalization, even though it started to quickly become apparent that it was a losing battle. He kept fighting the good fight, and I have tremendous respect for that. So I think of him as the sort of grandfather of equalization here in Cape Breton.
I would go Albert Maroon on that one. I have to give that.
Oh, well, then there's Father Albert. Yes.
Yeah, that's right, for sure. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Just kidding, of course. Yeah, but that'd be great. I mean, Mayor Morgan's well known. Everybody calls him Mayor Morgan. What else? They have a few nicknames for him.
I still do too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Mayor Morgan.
Is Archie running for mayor? I don't know. He keeps kind of avoiding me on that one. I've tried to ask him a couple of times, but because Archie's a big NDP. I know he was playing around a bit this time, but he ran for the NDP against, oh God, how far back? Russell McClellan, maybe? That was many years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Archie's running for mayor, but I'm going to have to find out, I guess, because people want to know. Yeah, but we're kind of swaying off, I guess.
Well,
so back to the LGBT topics. So, yeah, we talked about the issues.
Okay.
What do you got?
So, why don't we talk about J.K. Rowling, all the business around J.K. Rowling and what she said.
Yeah,
for those of you out there, she's in constant trouble lately.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that because she was such a role model, and then I don't know. It just
well, it's a real heartbreak for queer kids and queer adults out there to hear her make comments that are anti-trans because so many kids grew up seeing themselves being othered and related so much to the magical community of the wizarding world in Harry Potter. And so they identified and they felt inspired to dream big because of her young adult novels.
Right.
This whole recent blow up happened when she took exception to the language somebody was using to describe people who bleed. And in fact, actually, in my work, some men have vaginas and some women have penises. That's just a biological fact. And some men can get pregnant. And although I know it's not really common, that sentence is true. And so J.K. Rowling responded to this article saying, people who menstruate, wasn't there a word for that? Woman, and she was like mocking that sort of like broader phrase to describe people.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so the truth is that I know a lot of people who identify male who have periods, and I know a lot of women, both cis and trans, who don't have periods. And when she uses the word, when she has such star power. So when she says something flip like, oh, wasn't there used to be a word for that? Well, woman, that carries a lot of weight to invalidate people who identify as women who don't have periods. And the backlash is because she was put on such a high pedestal as the author of the Harry Potter books that, no one wants to see our heroes fail like that.
No, that's right.
It's really interesting though, because I had a little bit of a discussion about it I curated a small discussion on it on my Facebook page when it was all happening. And a lot of people have decided that she may have written those stories, but they're our stories now. And so we can maybe like her or not like her, but we don't have to give back our love of those stories to her just because she's transphobic. Yeah. And then she doubled down and used her history of sexual assault to justify her transphobic beliefs. And the problem there, of course, is equating trans women with predators who are sexual assaulting female identified people as well.
Right. Gotcha.
So like there's this really great statistic, a lot of statistics are American, but there's never been a case prosecuted in the United States of a trans person assaulting a person in a bathroom. But there's been a number of cases, apparently, of senators assaulting people in the bathroom.
Well, that's
so with that logic, we should be putting a ban on senators in the bathrooms and non-binary people, And of course, that's like, I'm just being facetious here.
Yeah.
But it's so she got all the sympathy from a lot of women for being a sexual assault survivor, which to me is apples and oranges. Her experience as an assault survivor is 100% not the same conversation as talking about trans men, trans women, and non-binary people. So,
exactly.
even her, even the performers of the video of her movies have spoken out against her in disappointment.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
She refuses to learn.
Oh, I was going to say, I did read something recently in Canada. I don't know if it's gone through or not, but they're doing a new law that bans, what's that therapy called? Conversion therapy? Did you read that one?
Conversion therapy.
Yeah, I don't know if the ban's gone through yet or not, but I think if it doesn't, I hope it does. Like, wow, that's a crazy idea to think that you can convert somebody from gay to anything else or LGBTQ.
So, our province actually passed a law last year or so discussing conversion therapy, but unfortunately the Liberals created a loophole. So they did pass something that says that conversion therapy is against the law to anyone under 16.
Oh, okay.
I think it's 16. But conversion therapy is a deadly act on anybody at any age, and I don't think that there's an age where you should be allowed to be bullied into pretending to be somebody you're not for the rest of your life.
Well,
so
no.
I wasn't, and I know a lot of kids actually, Wayne, and this is going to surprise some people, but we have our own Bible camp here in Cape Breton on the corner of Kelly's Bridge.
Yeah,
right?
I remember that
New
one.
Campbellton, is that?
Yeah, New Campbellton. I think of that area. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a beautiful camp. Anyway, I've met tons of kids in high schools whose parents sent them there to try to get rid of the gay. So I mean, like, is it conversion therapy? Oh, my hair has gone wild. Is it conversion therapy? Not officially, but if a parent is looking at their little queer kid and saying, Susie, when you come back, you better have a closer relationship with Jesus and get rid of those crazy thoughts.
Well, yeah, right.
I don't know. That's happening right in our backyards, and then in churches all over. Well, and I actually, I had an interesting experience with folks from the Jehovah's Witness Church who had excommunicated a young man for being gay.
Oh, is that right?
Out of Glace Bay. So, yeah, so there's all sorts of things that happen behind closed doors to our LGBT kids that we don't realize, and there's no real space for them to get help or stop it, because when you're a kid, it's still mom and dad are the boss, even if it's abusive most times.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. I was just saying though, I just pulled up an article here, and I thought I just read it. It says the federal government introduces legislation to criminalize conversion therapy related conduct in Canada. And it's not brand new, but it's March 2020. So hopefully they'll go through with that one.
That's great. I didn't hear about that. That's great.
Yeah, it's criminal code too, right? It says causing. Oh, it's minor. You're right though. It says causing a minor to undergo conversion therapy, removing a minor. It says causing a person to undergo with or against their will, profiting from the therapy, advertising to offer the therapy.
That's something right there.
Yeah, loophole, right?
Here's the argument that I say it should be universal for all ages. It's because if a person is over of age of majority and they're legally allowed to make their own decisions, just because they're so unhappy, they might search this out as a solution for their gayness or their trans identity.
Yeah, okay.
It should never be an option for anyone.
No, right? It's
just
changing who you are. Yeah, it's like forcing you to change who you are, and that's like hard. People don't realize how hard that is to do, to change. Like some things, you work on and you change them because they cause you harm, or like I quit smoking and cut my coffee down. That's good stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, the other way around. Like, somebody said you're going to go to Catholic church every week. I'm going to be like, no, I'm not, because I'm not Catholic, But if you were forced into it like every week, as a child or a teenager, like that's crazy, right? Yeah, you mess with people's brains. You know what I mean?
Although religion is changing, there, we have the United Church of Canada, and they are an extremely open church. I'm actually being married by a minister in Sydney in July. I'm getting married in a couple of weeks. We're getting married by Reverend Heather Wright, and she is a queer woman of the cloth, and I'm very excited to have her officiate our wedding because I feel she'll genuinely respect us. I've gone to a couple of gay weddings over the last number of years where the officiant said man and wife during the service. And everyone always nervously giggles when that happens, but I would be devastated if that happened during my wedding. So I know that having Reverend Heather do have the responsibility of doing this, I know that she'll show us the respect and honor our relationship and our love the way that everyone wants to be honored and respected on their wedding day.
Yeah, that's right. That's for sure. For sure. I think that's all everybody wants is you know, a little bit of tolerance. You know what I mean? Just be a little bit of tolerance. Just, you know, make a tolerable world so everybody does, like, nobody kind of gets left behind. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what color you are or what your sexuality is or, you know, gender. None of that matters. Like, you know, where you're from, what religion you are, none of that should matter. But it does, right? That's the problem. Like, there's always these blocks that we can't just say, you know, hey, Madonna, I like you for who you are. You do a good job. You know, you're trying to do something better. So what's the difference if you're, you know, different from me in some way or not? You're female, right? So
we're different in so many ways, but we're the same in so many ways as well.
That's it, exactly.
I mean, we all have those biases, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
None of us are without discrimination or bias in our heart. I think the point is to always be working on that, not pretending that we're already perfect. You know, like, I think it's very interesting for all of us to look at, you know, what throws us off, what situation do we react to in a way that makes no sense. If you're uncomfortable around a group of people, don't pretend that. Look at it and ask yourself, well, what makes you uncomfortable being around people that are different from you? Are you afraid they're talking about you because you don't understand their language? Are you just, you know, insecure like that? And it's not about them. It's almost always about you, you know? So
yeah, that's right. That's true.
It's a journey.
For sure. For sure. I got some more questions. I got a whole bunch of questions over here. So, Richard's asking about.
Shoot.
Yeah, this one Richard's asking about. It says the NDP under Dexter failed to address equalization when in office. None of the three parties dealt with the equalization payment. And regarding what you were saying, I've heard many times over the years, don't see you being any other. Just saying they don't see you being any different. Well, like you said, you're just a cog in the wheel, right? If you get elected, you're just a cog in the wheel.
I'm just a cog in a wheel, and I haven't had a chance to do anything.
Well, that's it. But you came close, though. Very close.
Well, I do lots of stuff without having the authority of being MLA. You know, like I am just one of many Cape Bretoners that are so deeply invested in our community that we're always doing stuff to try to give back. And you know what? You're right. Daryl Dexter didn't do some of the things that we would have liked for him to do. I do crave for the day when, as an NDPer, I could not hear Daryl Dexter's name thrown at us again. One and only time as a party that we've been elected. And do you know what? I'm going to say something. He wasn't all that bad. The party did do some good things. Mm-hmm. We had 4 years to do what we could do, you know, and I'm not saying he did everything right, but holy smokes, how many years is that one kick at the can running the government of Nova Scotia going to be held against all the people that are in the party? You know, Gary Burrell is one of the only people that are still part of the party. Everybody else is new. You know, so this isn't Dexter's party anymore. This is Gary Burrell's party. And I'm going to tell you, I am strangely loyal and inspired to Gary Burrell. I find him to be the most empathetic, social-minded man I've had the privilege of meeting. You know, he grew up under humble circumstances in Yarmouth. He understands poverty. You know, his work, even as, you know, Gary is a United Church minister, and his work, his entire life has been driven to do good work in his own community. So, and then a lot of people don't know this, but Gary actually was the minister of the United Heritage Church in Sydney for 2 years. So he lived and worked in Sydney for 2 years before becoming leader of the party. So that also means that Gary knows Cape Breton in a way that a lot of Halifax-centric politicians don't.
Right.
And that has value to us that no other politician in the past can bring to the table. Well, yes, they could, but
yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean for sure. I know, like, I talked about it in all my shows now, but we're trying to start a society. Well, I'm pushing for it because I can't do too much on my own, but I'm trying to form a society where everybody, we need people like from every group, minority wise and stuff, to be on a board and sit down and say, have about 12 people and start doing container farming and, start doing stuff for ourselves that maybe the government can help with, but we kind of have to get it off the ground on our own first because I don't know. You don't get to say, here, government, give me everything and I'm not going to do anything for it. You know what I mean? So we're thinking container terminals, maybe some hemp farming, down the road and stuff. So I'm hoping for that. So if you do get elected, don't forget about me for sure. For sure.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. So I've never met Gary. I've emailed Gary to come on the show early on, before I was kind of getting more well-known and kind of popular on the internet, I guess. So I'm hoping he can come on. I asked Jagmet too. Haven't gotten a response yet. It's gone to his team, but I'd be pretty cool if I got Jagmet on here.
So, just in case you get him on, I only just learned recently that we're all saying his first name wrong. It's Jugmeat.
It's Jugmeat.
It's spelled Jagmeat, but it's pronounced Jugmeat.
Jugmeat, okay.
In case you meet him. Now we will both know how to say his name right. My friend met him and learned there. So now I'm like spreading the news because I
yeah, that's
I have
cool
such respect
because,
for him. The least.
Well, that's cool because I wouldn't know that. Like, you know what I mean? I would just, because Cape Breton accent, it's like you read it, you say it, and hope it's right. Either that or we call you buddy.
Everything sounds better in a Cape Breton accent, Wayne.
Exactly. I'll be cool to get them on. If I can get Gary on, I'll have you back if you like. We could do like three.
I'll let you know. I'll ask. I'll put it through the chain,
channels,
the food chain.
Maybe we could do me, you, Gary, and Kendra, and have a little NDP chit chat.
Well, to be honest, I would tune in just to hear Gary for an hour or two, though. I wouldn't want to get into time.
Right? Yeah, you could talk to him face to face. Well, camera to camera, I guess, not really face to face, but yeah,
camera to camera.
Cool show. Yeah, that'd be a cool show actually, because then it'd be all, it'd be very centric. It'd be very much on what the provincial NDP has to offer. You know what I mean? I kind of liked it because I'm a nonpartisan, but I'm just getting tired of the same old thing. You get the same old thing over, and you know what I mean? You get that. You get the liberals get in. They tell you they're going to do something. They do something a little different, and it goes back to the conservatives. They do this anyway. I'm tired of it, right? You know what I mean? I want something different.
We need to change it all, though. We need to change the way that we elect people. We need to change the way that the representation happens, and we definitely need to try to pull stuff out of Halifax. We're not the HRM. We're the province of Nova Scotia, and we are a large, diverse population outside of the HRM and in. So, they need to get their butts out of the HRM and start. It's so funny. In a lot of the work that I do. There's a whole language of people about using words like, decolonizing the system. And one of the most important things that I think we need to decolonize first is our electoral representation, because it's all the power is in one lump and they tell everyone what to do or what they're getting with very little input from the actual communities that are very nuanced and need different things.
Yeah, that's right. I think proportional representation has to. This first past the post is no good. First past the post does not work. We've seen that. Like we've been promised it federally.
I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
There was people that voted for Trudeau because of that.
Yeah, I know.
I know
right?
people that voted for Trudeau because he promised change in the country, but
yeah, I know, right?
Oh well, liberals and their promises.
Yeah, we got marijuana.
Oh, that was very snarky for me. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. You can be snarky. That's allowed. I mean, we're just here chit-chatting. That's what I said. It's campfire chat. There's no real, there's nothing really off limits.
It feels like I'm in an oven.
Oh, yeah, it's hot. It was 33. I was out in the car today. It was 33 degrees on the little thermostat inside. I was like, holy cow, it's not, I don't like that kind of weather, but we're cooling off again.
We tried to go outside today to play lawn darts, but between the heat and the horseflies, we were 30 minutes outside before we hightailed it back in.
Yeah. Oh, you get the horseflies, do you?
So I'm out Marion Bridgeway right now, and the black flies, the horse flies, and the mosquitoes could carry you away. They're so bad out here. I mean, I've been a Cape Bretoner my whole life, and people said, "Oh, wait till you see the flies are going to be so bad." And I was like, I know bugs. I'm okay with it. No, it's so bad. It's like a halo of insects around you.
And they give you some pretty bad bites too. If you have allergies to them, I mean, you can get some pretty bad bites of the black flies. And those big, what do you call them? Those bigger flies, they bite hard. They take
they take a chunk out of you. If I OD on Afterbite this summer, I won't be surprised because I have 3 tubes of it strategically placed around the house because I really don't want to scratch my fly bites before my wedding pictures. I know that sounds vain, but I'm trying to not look scabby for some reason for my wedding pictures.
For sure, though,
so I've got Afterbite everywhere. I'm going to have the OD of ammonia if it's possible.
When I took the herbal medicine course, they told me to use... Which oil was it?
Witch hazel, I was told today.
Witch hazel might be one of them. And another one is oregano oil. Oregano oil is really smelly and they hate it for some reason. But it's really smelly too, right? It's really it's kind of strong. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'd want to.
So the bugs will keep away from you or not?
They say
I mean, I would be afraid I sound like a delicious Thanksgiving turkey.
Well, that's it. That's it. You know, you'd smell like oregano all day. But I mean, if you're only out in the steppe or something, or only doing backyard stuff, it's not a bad idea. But you're right, the witch hazel's another. There's 3 or 4 of them. Peppermint, I think maybe too. I think any of the strong smelling ones, I think are pretty bug repellent. So, and if you're ever over North Side area, Scotch Lake, Good Hands Boarding Kennels in Scotch Lake, she usually has a homemade herbal bug. I think it's a cream or a spray. I'm not sure, or both maybe. And it's all made naturally, natural herbs and stuff. So, yeah, it's good to have, right?
I will look into that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So you're out in. Did you say Myra?
Yeah, I'm out. I'm actually. So my partner and I, we were living in Dominion, and we were selling her house. And for 3 months, Wayne, we looked for an apartment in Sydney. We do have dogs.
Yeah, so do I.
But this was in the fall that we were looking. From all last summer into the fall, we were looking for a place to live. And we could not find a place to live in all of that part of we wanted to live in the pier, in Sydney River, anywhere like that, you know.
Yeah, I know an online friend of mine.
The housing is.
Yeah, an online friend of mine said the same thing.
We lucked into a place out here.
Oh, you're just renting out there?
It's we're just renting out here, but we love it. And
for sure, it's beautiful out there.
I feel actually bizarrely grateful to have this place for the dogs and for us as well. But yeah, our first choice was to live in Sydney, but we couldn't find any place that would take our dogs.
Yeah,
housing is just really hard right now. Yeah,
it's hard. It's very hard.
There was also a lot of apartments that were already furnished. And that's not something middle-aged women want, is to move into an apartment that has somebody else's furniture.
Yeah, that's right.
So obviously, a lot of the apartments are set up for students, right? Not for people that are looking to stay for a long time.
I wonder what's happening with that, with this. A lot of the students, going online. I wonder if a lot of this is the student population going to be down. I mean, it has to be, right? Some people went home, I would think. There's
all sorts of unknowns.
Yeah. I just kind of that one just kind of dawned on me. Never thought of rentals, right? Yeah.
So we're actually, I'm still waiting to find out officially what the province is going to do with the with schools as well, because my job with the youth project is primarily funded through the Department of Education to go in and give LGBTQ2S+ education to schools. We're basically contracted out by the province to do it, and I heard through the grapevine, whether or not it's true, I'm not sure, that elementary school kids will be going to school. There'll be less than 15 in a class, and they might be spread out between different schools. That because grades 6 to 12, I hear, is going to be all online, and I suspect I'll be giving my presentations online, which will save a lot of gas because I do travel the whole lot. I actually cover right up to Guysborough and Antigonish, so I do all of Cape Breton and Guysborough and Antigonish sometimes. So if I'm doing everything online, that means I could visit 5 schools in one day. So that's fantastic. But it'll be a weird change for sure, relating to kids this way instead of being in their classroom, available for conversations. So we're all making adjustments. It's a world full of unknowns right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's one of the only knowns is that everything is unknown. I think like 2020 is the year that the world shut down, and now we're rebooting. We don't even know where we're going yet, what we're doing. We don't know we don't even know what's going to happen in the fall. Like people are seeing American plates now. They've got a phone number to call the police if you see American plates. Yeah, I saw that online today. It's like crazy. It's like we've got American tourists. They've gotten in here. It's like, what are you going to do with them now? Like you can't kick them out.
And people are so upset that it's happening, but my understanding is the border has never been truly closed.
Yeah, I heard the same thing, yeah.
All sorts of reasons people are still allowed to pass the border and travel in. I read a piece today about a woman in PEI having her car vandalized or something because she had out-of-province plates on her car.
Yeah, isn't that crazy, right? This is a virus.
People are scared.
Yeah, I guess that's what it is, right? It's the same as everything else. People fear. When people are afraid of something, it causes all this craziness. You know what I mean? Hoarding toilet paper and it was this has been a weird year for sure. Like, right from somebody mentioned in the wildfires in Australia was in January or February. Then it just kept going. It was like one thing right after the other, and global climate crises and being middle-aged, I want to live a long time. I want to save this planet, right? Let's get some green energy down here. And I mean, I got it on the roof. I did get it on the roof. Yeah.
I think that it's interesting how the pandemic has given the earth a second to breathe and has shown everyone just how capable it is of healing itself if we give it a moment's break.
Yeah. That's
so I'm with everyone else. I hope that we never go back to normal. I hope that we change what normal is.
Yeah, I agree. The old normal is just not good enough. It's not good enough anymore.
Not working out.
No, we could be so much better. We have the people, like the talent we have here in the island and the beautiful island that we have and the resources that we have. You know what I mean? You put the people stop with this whole, I don't know, the same people get the money all the time. That's what I find. The same, it's going to go to this guy because he's going to build another complex, or it's going to go back to the port of Sydney. But what about indoor gardens? We have, I don't know how many empty factories we have. You know what I mean? And if we could just get them for a nickel, $1, I guess legally is the thing. You just give it to us, a bunch of us as a society, and let us go in and grow food for people. You know what I mean? Like that they don't have to go to the grocery store and pay like $5 a friggin' head of lettuce, like that could be salmonella poisons. You know what I mean? Like
that's an amazing, and it's just thinking different. It's that kind of thinking that we'll find our solutions. We have the bargain store on Charlotte Street empty now. That big old Woolworths empty now.
Yeah.
For a couple of years. It's
well,
what an like you said, if we grew plants in there, that would be incredible.
Yeah, it just has a volunteer cooperative group, right? We can have them all over the place because, I mean, there's the Northside Industrial Park. There's got to be 2 or 3 buildings empty there, and they're huge complexes. They used to be Magma used to be in both of those. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they give them. I don't know who owns them. That's the only other thing, right? But the government should be looking at stuff like that, I think, too, and saying, okay, that building's being left empty, and you know what I mean? If we transfer it over to somebody else, we'll get our tax dollars from it, and something's going to happen. Something, I don't know. I find that would be logical, but sometimes
even all the abandoned and boarded up schools that are scattered around the communities.
Right. There's so many things around that that could, that they're just empty, and you just say to yourself sometimes, like, what could I do with that if somebody gave me that and a little bit of cash on the side to do something, even for you as an educator, like in LGBTQ plus.
Well, 2S. It's funny when I.
2S?
Good job.
I got it. I'm getting there. See?
When I started with the youth project 3 years ago, I had to find an office space, and that was actually one of the things that I was hoping was that I could find some sort of shuttered community center that the municipality owned that I could get, because those spaces do exist, but I couldn't find one too. I really did hope, for organizations like mine, if we were given a small hall, we could do so much with that space. We could create such a haven for our kids to go and socialize and be there. But you're right; those opportunities seem to go to the same chosen few.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's kind of a shame because there's enough people as a group, as a cooperative. We could get. I know we could. I'm trying. I've got a few on the list so far that I'm going to touch base with. Hopefully soon. But with this COVID, you can't do very much, right? It's like the opportunity is there because of COVID, but to get out and actually get anything done, it's near impossible. It's getting better now, I guess. We can do more now and have social groups and stuff. But yeah, it's craziness. I think we need to change. I don't know. I think we just need to change, not just as a society, but like I try to change all the time because, like, yeah, I don't know. You have to do your best to be a little better tomorrow than you are today, right? Because if not, then you're just not growing. And I just have to grow all the time. You know what I mean? I struggle for mental health issues. That's one of my big ones, and they cause a lot of.
So do I, Wayne.
Yeah.
Anxiety and depression are my lifelong companions.
Yeah, and it's hard. People don't realize it's hard. Mine are PTSD, hypomania, and ADD. The hypomania is new. It's from a medication that I have to take. But like, I do okay with it, but you just have to be very careful. You know that. You have to be very careful not to step over that little edge because there's a fine line between, you know what I mean, between being just okay and then not being okay at all. You know what I mean? So it makes life difficult. But yeah, I think it's just that's a whole other topic though. But I think that's speaking from an LG.
Whole other topic.
I was going to say though, from speaking from the LGBTQ plus 2S, right? I'm getting there.
Lovely.
The suicide rates are higher. Is that not true?
Yeah. So the gay community and the trans community definitely sees a lot of suicide.
Right.
Yeah.
What do we do about that? Yeah. That's it's a sad thing that, that somebody can't. Like the bike's going by.
We just need to start thinking about how what our words mean when we say them. I feel like sometimes one of the challenges that we face is that a lot of times folk don't want to admit that there is still a problem or that they might even be part of the problem. A lot of folk will know not to say, disparaging things about others outside of the house. But what I call kitchen table talk is what's killing some kids. When they hear what their parents really think about others and they identify with that rejection.
Right.
It stays in their Rolodex in their brain forever. And by kitchen table talk, I just mean like, the casual hate language that still gets thrown around.
Yeah, that's right.
If you feel that someone needs to be, knocked down a peg, we still go to insults based on your sexuality, your gender identity, calling a man a pussy or telling a man to stop being a little bitch. Sorry for the language.
That's okay.
That's hate language against women.
Yeah,
and saying to a man, don't be such a faggot, suck it up. That's hate language against gay people, but we don't see it as like it's so casual that it doesn't always register as being as ugly as it is. And, I hope people realize that gone are the days that you can tell when someone is LGBTQ+. You can't.
No.
You can't. We're as different as every raindrop that falls from the sky. You cannot pigeonhole us. So you could be saying some things to your kids who you think are straight, who are struggling with that on the inside. And all too often parents have said to me, well, I would know. Well, you don't. So you're just lying to yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
And second of all, we don't know our children because they're still on a journey to figure out who they are. So we can't pin them down and say we've got them all summed up. We know who they are A to Z, because they're only on the letter C in the alphabet of life. So some of us know that we're gay when we're young. But genuinely, some of us don't realize that we're part of that other until we get older. Yeah, and so if we've been marinated in hate language and then realize one day that we are that same community that have been mocked, that have been, squashed at your family conversations, then that just makes the challenge of coming out that much harder. And really, one of the biggest things that we really kind of need to do is stop assuming that everyone's going to be born and grow up to be the same. You know, in that big acronym I gave you, some of those letters are for people who aren't attracted to anyone. That's not a straight or gay thing. You know, there are so many people that identify as asexual now. And they matter too. And they're not secretly gay, or they're not secretly straight and they're just too shy to date. You know, like there's lots of people out there that are, you know, they have no attraction for sex, but they could still fall in love romantically and be beautiful partners in life. You know, we're all different. And we need to stop this, like, assuming everybody's straight. Because I'll tell you, there's interesting statistics that say the younger generations are blowing the lid off of all those stereotypes. I read one report that this the youngest kids that are coming up now, 1 in 4 could identify as being part of the LGBT community.
Yeah,
1 in 4. So now we're not talking about like, 25%. So now we're not talking about that person that we just think is the weirdo down the street. We're talking about 25% of us are part of that weirdo community, and we're not weirdos, obviously.
No.
You know, but anyway, it's and here's my one last piece of advice, actually, if I could offer to any parents or grandparents out there, is that if you have a child in your life that comes out to you, please bite your tongue and resist saying, "I'm okay with it, but your life is going to be so much harder." I want you to hear and understand me when I say that their life is going to be so much easier now that they've come out of the closet, and that being gay and knowing who you are and claiming your space in the world is probably going to change your kid's life and save it. It's not going to make it harder. It's going to make it better because they're being honest about who they are. So stop saying, "I accept it, but it's going to be harder." Because when you say that, you're projecting your fears onto your child. Your child does not need to be afraid for your fears that you grew up with. Let us figure out our own fears. And being gay and trans doesn't need to be one of those fears.
That's right. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't have to be. For sure. That was a great statement. That was like that. I don't think we can go any further after that one. I think you nailed it. That was it.
I saved that one for you.
You saved it right for the end. Perfect. That's because you're an educator. You know how to open. You know how to do that. Except when you get thrown in the middle on dead airspace, and you did great on that. I was like, "Oh, she can't hear me, but I can see her," and I'm trying to click on the keyboard. I'm trying to fix everything.
I was like, "What should I do? Should I hang up? I don't know." So
well, then I forgot. I'm like, "Well, Messenger's right down there." I was like, "Oh, I can get on her Messenger." Just kind of zoned out, right?
I had my phone. I was like, "Wayne, where are you?"
We got it though. It worked out. I think you and me and Gary Burrell and Kendra Coombs. I think that would be the show. That would be a show. That would be like you put that through the grapevine. I'm going to text. I'm going to send this video to Gary, and I'm going to send it to Kendra, and I'm going to put them on the spot. I'm going to see if I can get them on the show, because that'd be because it's a centric group of people who are concentrated on similar ideas. I know you're not the same. Everybody's different, like you said, but at least you kind of have as a ideology and goals for the island. You're on the same page, right? So that would be a good show, I think. Anyway, if I can get them though, and if I can get Gary, or get Jug Meat. I learned something. I learned a couple of new things today. That's pretty cool. Jug Meat, interesting.
Can I just define two spirits since we've said it a few times?
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and then I'll be done. I like
you
to talk.
You can keep going, I think. I don't know what our time.
So two-spirit is an identity that is specifically for Indigenous people. So if you're Indigenous and you identify as any of those LGBTQ letters,
okay,
you have the cultural right to identify as two-spirit.
Okay.
So I love the word two-spirit, but I am of European descent.
Well, yeah.
So I can call myself gay. I can call myself queer or lesbian. I can call myself Madonna. but it's not my cultural heritage. So, and the reason, and this is sort of like a very like filtered through white people language, how I'm defining it, but
that's okay. We can do it in white people language for now.
Pre-European times in North America, the indigenous population, which was over 100,000 people on the continent, there was, of course, LGBT people there, because LGBT has existed forever. There's, I always like to point out, there was Chinese men building the Great Wall of China that were gay. There was like gay people building the pyramids. Like we've always existed. So same with the indigenous community here. And the idea was that if you were a person who was born that possessed, femininity and masculinity, being gay or trans, you were considered blessed by the Creator with not one spirit, as the average person would have been blessed with, but two spirits, both male and female spirits residing within you. And so that's why it's a catch-all phrase. It's not like, in our language, everyone has its own little separate labels. But Two Spirit catches all of it and embraces that entire identity as being like not just part of their community, but also a blessing. You were capable of more because you had both the male and female perspectives inside of you. So I just want to throw that out there. There's some really great information for anyone out there that's looking to learn more about the Two-Spirit community. And in fact, right here in Atlantic Canada, we have a really strong Two-Spirit community led by some folks, most of them from Nova Scotia, but there's an organization called the Wabanaki Two-Spirit Society, and Wabanaki, WAB, I don't know, WABANIKI. I don't spell well in English, so
what's it called? It's Two-Spirit Society.
Wabanaki. I can send you a link on their Facebook page if you'd like.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That's because I'm here trying to write them. Yeah, for sure.
And they do work. They do work across, I think, all the Atlantic provinces. And then I just want to give a shout out to Pride Eskasoni, which is a new Pride organization in the province. I think this is their 3rd or 4th year, and I believe still they're the only First Nation community in the province, maybe in Atlantic Canada, that has their own Pride celebrations. So great things are happening in Eskasoni with the LGBT Two-Spirit community as well. So
yeah, make it in touch with both. Because, that'd be another good show, right? I mean, we could do a Two-Spirit show and let them give us whole cultural. Because I know I've read some of the stories, like I've read different indigenous groups, different ones across. They have different ideas, but there's a lot of similarities. You know what I mean? And there is always that. Like you call it the Two-Spirit, but somebody else called it. This was many years ago too. I'm getting old, right? But they called it something else in the States. It was in Arizona, and it was the same basic thing though. They said if you loved male and female, like you know what I mean. If you were bisexual, pretty much, I think it covers the whole thing. You know what I mean too. You're right that it was a blessing that you were blessed to be able to be that way, which is pretty cool. Like when you think about that, instead of looking at it like that group of people, that's like. But you had mentioned before too. I kind of lost my train of thought. But you had mentioned before too the kitchen table talk, right? Being so important and being an activist for me, it's you go online. You don't have to go far, and you can find it. That that kitchen table talk. You know what I mean? And if I, as a straight male, can just and it drives me bonkers. I could not imagine what it would do to a young trans boy or girl, or you know what I mean, a queer person who's getting, you know what I mean, like they say such. Anyway, it's and the indigenous too. If you go online, it drives me bonkers. I have an indigenous friend from lives in Alberta, and he's always online like showing the RCMP beating up the people from the tribes, the chiefs, and I'm just like I can't believe, I don't know. We need to change.
Yeah, it's very easy to be oblivious to all the bad stuff that happens in the world when you're sort of tucked away, thinking that everything's fine.
Yeah, right. Fine. Yeah, exactly. And like I know, like I'm not one I'm not one to be on the like sit and watch the news all the time, or you know what I mean. But I like to kind of keep up to date, and then like I watch this guy's page, and like I can see how passionate he is about it, right? And like and how obvious the injustices is towards his people, or not just his people, but the indigenous people in general. Like that he feels obligated. You know what I mean? Like, and you can like I know that as an activist, when you get into that frame of mind, it can be draining. It can be a draining place when you just want change so bad. You know what I mean? That I don't know. It's like we're going to change Cape Breton. I don't care.
We are changing Cape Breton. We've already started. Things are already, we've never been more organized. There's never been so many beautiful hearts out there motivated to make changes, and we all are doing our own little thing. I'm working on LGBT stuff. There's all these lovely people that are working on community gardens. There's all these nonprofits are going to save the world as far as I'm concerned, little community groups doing the things for their people exactly as needed by them, for them, with them.
Exactly.
We are lucky. We live in a place that's not nearly as broken as a lot of other places. And,
for sure.
And I still believe that Cape Breton hasn't seen the best of it yet. I think that our future still, even with our waning population, I still believe that the best is yet to come for Cape Breton.
Oh, I agree. I think we're quite young, right? People don't realize Cape Breton is a really young place when it comes to colonization stuff. Like overall, we haven't even had a chance to evolve yet as an island, right? We're just a tiny place that's
we're just crawling away from our natural resources dependency. We're just baby steps away from being coal miners and fishermen. Like now, and with technology that we have, anything can be happening anywhere. So why not in Cape Breton?
Well, yeah, that's it.
We have brilliant people.
You know what I mean? This is like a little talk show. It's like it's not like it's not we have the audience. I think of Ripple Effects is almost 300,000 people across Canada. It can get that high, but that's a good audience. You know what I mean? So you can get a message out. It's like, okay, let's just talk about this stuff. You don't have to be scripted. We don't have to. You have a general topic. Okay, I know I'm going to talk to you. It's going to be politics, and we're going to talk about LGBTQ+2S. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get that down faster. You wait and see. But that's what I mean. And we can talk about that.
You got it. I think you own it.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the part though. Anybody out there wondering, that's what That's what you have to do. It's like, okay, if I don't know and I'm a little bit afraid, like I know this trans person and I'm a little afraid, but I'm not really, you're not anti-trans or whatever. Just go ask. Like, what do you want to be called? People aren't going to be mad. You know what I mean? If you go like, I just want to ask, what do you want to be called? They're not going to be mad at you. Like I've done it before. You know what I mean? As long as you're not rude about it, and like.
You know what? That's a great little thing to discuss as a last piece of advice. Is that if you have someone in your life that identifies as trans or non-binary, first of all, if you're not trans or you're not non-binary, if you agree with what was written on your birth certificate as far as your gender, so my birth certificate said female, I'm going to go out on a limb, Wayne, and say that your birth certificate said male when you were born.
Yep.
And if we grow up and agree with that, then we're cisgender, CIS, cis.
Gotcha.
So if we have some trans or non-binary people in your life, and you're like, oh, I don't know what pronouns I should use, or I heard that they changed their name and I'm not sure what I should call them anymore, you can say, I'm a cis person and I don't want to make a mistake. What's your pronouns?
Yeah, that's it, right?
Even just identifying yourself like that makes you so self-aware that question is going to be welcome.
Yeah, cool.
What's not welcome, and this is so important, is that no matter how curious you are, you never ask about what's inside of someone's pants.
Oh no.
And as obvious as it sounds, a lot of people think that just because they're curious, that they're allowed to ask about what's going on down there.
Yeah,
so your down under is none of my business, no matter how curious I am.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
and sometimes when I do these presentations, I say, would you ever walk into a room and look at the male identified people in the room and say, so guys, circumcised or not circumcised? Like, you would never do that, right? But trans and non-binary people are asked all the time about what's going on in their pants, and it's none of our business. But if we want to ask, what's your pronoun, or what name do you want me to use? That shows nothing but respect.
Yeah,
And
right.
and you're honoring that person's individuality by asking and not assuming. And then if you're not in a place where you can ask, use they them pronouns. If you're afraid that you're going to guess wrong, go with the plural. You won't offend anyone. And it's
Gotcha.
much easier to do than people realize. I could have spoken this entire conversation without doing and using any pronouns if I needed to. Like, I have the brain power to switch off my he, she pronouns and just use they, them. And so that's the solution. What do I do for a living? I am an LGBTQ educator in Cape Breton. I've done it for 5 years at the Ally Center and for 3 years now at the Youth Project. And we're contracted out by the Department of Education to provide this education in the school system. So that's what I've been doing for going on 9 years now.
Right. So the Ally Center, is that that's just so that's to do with LGBTQ plus 2S.
The Ally Center?
Addiction? Is it addiction, just addiction, or is it other issues too?
Yeah, so the Ally Center is a safe space for people with addiction illnesses. It's also the needle exchange.
All right.
So we have a beautiful needle exchange there where, and that could be a whole nother conversation about opiate addiction in Cape Breton, but where they're providing hundreds of thousands. Last I heard in 1 year, it was over 600,000 clean needles in 1 year. And they also have a food bank. But the biggest thing is,
you see that Archie is running from air.
They also have Archie's running from air. The biggest thing is that the Ally Center and Christine Porter, who is a personal hero of mine, she's the executive director, has worked so hard to create a street level clinic. So now there are doctors and nurse practitioners that people who have housing instability or could actually be homeless, who could actually just be passing through, can go and get medical attention. And then the last thing is that you can get your STI testing done there. They have they have a VON nurse on site twice a week, every week, and you can get anonymous testing there. And you know, getting tested, if you're sexually active or you've had a piercing or a tattoo, every 6 months you should get tested. It's a responsible thing to do. So it's free, and it just makes you have that clean line in the sand saying, I had nothing as of this date. So if you do get something, and there are lots of things to get, we are just coming out of a syphilis outbreak in Nova Scotia last year.
I read that.
Syphilis outbreak.
Yeah, the numbers were pretty high.
So get tested.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said, yeah, for sure. You just brought up the syphilis, and I just remember hearing that. I don't know, that's not that long ago, and there was like somebody saying there's a syphilis outbreak, and I'm like, it's like syphilis. Like, what do you mean syphilis, right? Like, yeah, I guess you think, again, right, being this standard white boy, I guess, I don't know, you don't think of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just like, I was tested years ago when I first got sick with Addison's disease because I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I lost a lot of weight. I was down to 113 pounds and stuff. And so they said, we're going to test you for AIDS and STDs, right? And I'm like, well, I've been with the same person. They're like, no, it doesn't matter. You can get it in ways that you just, so we're just going to test because your symptoms sort of match AIDS. So they did it, but it was Addison's disease is what it was, right? So I went through the whole gamut of testing I had to do the AIDS tests, I think 3 times before they cleared or something like that. I don't know what that was that time. Yeah, so I mean, it's but you don't think of it.
Are really cool. They have the instant test now for HIV there, so you can get your finger pricked, and 5 minutes later, you can find out your results. So that's pretty amazing.
That is cool.
And the other
Because mine weren't like that. Mine were blood tests, and they sent them off, and then they called you back in the office. You know what I mean? But they were testing for other things too. I guess they didn't know what was wrong. I guess it's a different situation. So, but instant testing is cool.
And the other thing that's really important to know is that the Ally Center is like where to get help if you have hepatitis C. So Cape Breton has over 60%, I believe, of all diagnosed cases of Hep C, even though we don't represent 60% of our of Nova Scotia's population.
No.
So we have so much hepatitis C in Cape Breton, and that's a sleeper disease. You can have that for years before you start seeing symptoms or start getting sick from it. Again, a little shout out to the Ally Center at 150 Bentinck Street in Sydney for all of your testing needs and for anyone who needs clean gear if they're injection drug users.
I might send them an email too, because there's lots of shows. Yeah, I was just going to say another good show, right? If you had somebody.
That would be an excellent show. Yeah, that would be an excellent show. They do such important work there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. See, that's the whole idea. I think this is, well, at least my idea of the show is to have people from all walks of life, or as many walks of life that want to talk. I mean, you can't make people talk. If people don't want to talk, they're not going to talk. You know what I mean? So, but like, there's no stress. Like, you know yourself, like I just sent you the link, we just never had any time for really the topic discussions. We just chatted. Like I kind of know a little bit about you from online, like you do me. So it brings up this kind of campfire chat where a lot of things get, I learned some stuff today, which I always think is great. I learned, like, now I know how to pronounce Jugmit's name, you know what I mean? And I'll get the acronym right. I'm not going to keep saying it because then I'm going to overdo it, but I'll get it right. I'll get this right now, instead of being like, I'm queer. Like, I didn't know queer was okay. Like, I don't know. There was the queer guy with the straight eye.
It's still an insult.
Is it?
Queer is a funny word, actually, Wayne. It's all about your intentions.
Gotcha.
So if I were to look at you and say, you queer, then I have hate in my heart. But when so I didn't do it this year, but traditionally I throw a queer prom in June. So it's a dance open to junior high and high school kids who feel like perhaps their year-end dance wouldn't be as welcoming to them as their most authentic version of themselves. Right. So I have a dance every June, the queer prom. And when I say the words queer prom, I couldn't have more love in my heart. You know what I mean? Like, so it's all about intentions, and it's still very much a generational word.
Gotcha.
Older people in the community, they have every right to still have hurt. If that word was used in hatred towards them as they were growing up, I can't just wave a magic wand and say, well, the rest of us are okay with the word, so you got to get over it. So there's lots of people that still don't like the word queer. But I'll tell you, the word queer is so much more inclusive for the younger generations that are coming out. And they don't have the historical hate attached to it. They learned the word as sort of a catch-all for the community. And, last but not least, sometimes a person can know that they're different, but they're not sure where they're fitting in. And so instead of saying that they're bi, they're gay, they're non-binary, they can just say, I'm part of the queer community, and the rest will sort of, unravel as it becomes clearer to them. They don't need to like pigeonhole themselves prematurely if they're still figuring it out. But the word queer has become something very transformational.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you just have to be like as a. So I guess I'm a cis person. Is that correct? So
yes, you're a cis male.
Right.
And I'm a cis female.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so that's another one. So the cis one always got me because I guess it got kind of thrown out there, and I wasn't really like paying much attention, right? And then people kept saying cis, and I don't know, I don't get what cis is, right? And then I looked it up, and then, well, my son's really good. I have a almost 22-year-old son. He'll correct me on anything at all. He will correct me quickly, right? It's like, no, Dad, that's not it, which is good because it's lessons for me because
it's great.
Yeah, like you just kind of, I don't know, you kind of forget, like if you're not within the community all the time, you're not gonna remember the stuff as easily.
And we have to be brave and be willing to learn things and admit that we don't know everything. I don't know what's our problem about feeling like we got to pretend we know everything, but let's just be more open to learning about each other and not as resentful about the fact that we didn't know it to begin with.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, it's if you want change, right? Like, I don't know. You have to put a little bit of work in it. You have to put a little bit of work in it. We all do, as every individual, and every day we get a little bit better. Or you're going to have some days where, you're going to hit the bumps in the road. You're going to hit them, right? Everybody, you get some days you'll have 10 steps forward and 1 back. Someday you'll have 2 back and none forward. You know what I mean? But we just keep trying to cohabitate, coexist. That was brought up on the last show with Pam. Coexistence, right? We can coexist. It doesn't matter what you are, who you are, where you're from, what you learned. You know what I mean? Is what your background is. It's hard though I think, like as you mentioned about if somebody's had something in their past that like triggers them, if it's a word or whatever, that's a trigger, right? Because something happened bad to them. Like there's nothing you can do to stop that, so don't try. You know what I mean? Why would you try to? You're not going to say, well.
That's right. Right. We don't have to. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to, like, if they don't want to be called queer, if queer is the trigger, right? Then don't call them queer. Like, just ask, like, what would you like me to call it?
I use the word queer on a. So Peter Steele is sort of the grandfather of Pride Cape Breton. I stand on his shoulders doing the work that I do right now, just as a shout out to Peter. Anyway, when I first started doing this work, I mean, I'm a coal miner's daughter from New Waterford. The word queer felt as alien in my mouth as any word could. This is about 10 years ago. And I remember I tried the word queer out on Peter to like see how it felt in my mouth, and he was so offended. And he was like, I used before, I knew who I was. I had the crap beat out of me on the regular. And that was the word that was used when they were beating me up on my way to school.
Right.
And so last year I saw Peter, very much a generational thing. And then so last year I was talking to Peter. We often bump into each other at presentations in schools. And I was like, Peter, how do you feel about the word queer now? He's like, actually, I'm okay with it. If a younger person uses that word on me, he said, I don't even blink. But he said, if someone my age uses it, I still feel offended. So, I got a tickle. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem.
Got my one Tic Tac. That's going to do the difference.
You got the one Tic Tac. I always do blueberry tea. Well, not just always blueberry. Sometimes peppermint too. I find if you get really dry, really good. You do these podcasts. You can talk a lot. I mean, I said that a few times already. You get the right guest on, you could talk for hours. I mean, if we had hours and hours, Rebecca said keep going,
well,
so we have lots of time.
I think that we're going to wrap up soon because I think I have to go swimming before I'm going to be able to go to bed tonight. I'm going to jump into the Myra River and wash the day away.
There you go. Sounds like a good plan. You can go have a nice little dip, and then that's it for the night. I can hear my dogs barking outside, so they're in the back fenced area. The dogs are out there barking. I don't know if you can hear them or not through the mic.
My dogs are in the bedroom.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, we locked our dogs up in the bedroom. Yeah. They're probably all asleep on the bed, so it's forbidden territory. So they're having a great time.
All right. So yeah, that's great having you. I know you want to take off now, so we took a lot. We were like, I know we lost a bit of time in there in the middle too because a little dead space.
I think we caught up.
Yeah, I think we did too. So that's perfect. It was great having you on. So I'm going to the links. I need you just send me the links when you can for the Two Spirit.
I will right now.
Oh, okay. And
Wabanaki.
And the Escazoni as well. Right. Send that link as well.
And the person, Jordy Marshall will be the name I'll be giving you for Escazoni.
Perfect. And then I'm going to try to set up something with the NDP people and then maybe some people from the Alley Center. I have there's going to be a lot of people I'm going to be sending. I'll be guested until like I'm 90 years old by the time I'm done.
We'll be all set. Well, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I know it was kind of not really short notice, but I kind of threw it at you before and everything. We didn't kind of hook up, but yeah. So now here we go. So yeah, you go enjoy your swim.
It's good for a conversation, Wayne.
There you go.
Mouth and it never stops.
There you go. Mine either. There you go. Well, you have a great night.
You too, Wayne, and thank you so much for the interview. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye. Oh, there we go. So that was episode 6, folks. It went kind of long. I know we had some technical difficulty. Oh, that was kind of, I don't know what happened. I just, like, my computer said your mic is cooked. And I was like, what do you mean my mic is cooked? It's not even mine. It's my sister's. Anyway, so yeah, that was a great discussion. We kind of got a little bit of politics in there. I wasn't quite sure if she was going to run this time. I never asked, to be honest. I'm horrible at that. But she is running for the NDP. And we had a good discussion on LGBTQ plus 2S, I think. I hope I got that right. And yeah, I'm going to be shouting out to Kendra Coombs, Gary Burrell. I want to get you guys on with Madonna and have a little chat. Jay, Jugmit, I almost said it wrong again. Jugmit Singh, I'm coming for you too. You just wait and see. But for now, yeah, so that was episode 6, and that's it for tonight. I'll see you guys later.